You know the story, right? Your great-great-grandparents arrive at Ellis Island, and a tired and overwhelmed immigration officer mangles their name. And just like that, your family's identity is changed forever. It's a dramatic story, and one that is a powerful piece of family lore. But what if I told you that story is almost entirely a myth? The real story of how your name became what it is today is infinitely more interesting, and it's packed with clues that can unlock your family's hidden history. Your last name isn't just a label. It's the first breadcrumb on a trail leading you back through time. It's a puzzle and a story just waiting for you to solve. Every little twist and turn in its spelling and pronunciation reveals something profound about your ancestors' journey. The places they left, the pressures they faced, and the identity they decided to build in a new world. Today, we're becoming historical detectives. We'll figure out how and why these names changed, and what that powerful story tells you about who you are. We're going to decipher the clues hidden in the one thing you've carried with you your entire life: your name. This is a case study, a study of the journey of the Carnovski family. To really get how this works, let's follow the path of this one family. This isn't just a theory, it's a story pieced together from the exact kinds of documents that genealogists live for. Let's imagine this family, the Carnovskis, living in a small shtetl in the Russian Empire in the late 1800s. Their story starts with a decision fueled by hope and desperation. They're leaving the turmoil of their homeland for the promise of America. The first document we, as detectives, might find is their passenger manifest. This is our ground zero. The manifest, which was created by the steamship company in Europe, lists the head of the family as Abram Carnovski. His name is written clearly. And this, folks, is a crucial point where the whole Ellis Island myth begins to crumble. The inspectors at Ellis Island worked from these lists. They didn't just create them from scratch. Their job was to verify who was on the list, not invent new names. While there might be a handful of incredibly rare documented exceptions, the idea of officials routinely renaming thousands of immigrants it's just pure fiction. So Abram, his wife Rivka, and their kids arrive in New York, and they don't stick around. They're already off, headed to Chicago, where a cousin is waiting. Suddenly, they're now in a world that speaks and moves to a completely different rhythm. Their name, Carnovski, feels heavy and foreign in a city of Smiths, Joneses, and Johnsons. Now fast forward 10 years to the 1910 U.S. Census, where we search for Carnovski and come up with nothing. It's just crickets. And that classic brick wall moment is one that every genealogist dreads. Did they just vanish? Did we get the name wrong? This is where the real detective work begins. We have to think beyond the literal. How would an English-speaking census taker hear the name Carnovski, spoken by a man who is still getting the hang of a new language? The enumerator would just write what he heard. So we start digging for phonetic spellings. We try Carnovski, Chernov, and then there it is, bingo. On a crowded census page for a Chicago tenement, we find a household headed by an Abram Carnow. The ages, the places, and the immigration year, they all match. It is them. The name has already started to change, sanded down by the sounds of a new language. It wasn't a formal change. It was just a simplification, scribbled on a government form. Now life goes on. Abram, he starts going by Abe. The kids are in public school where classmates and teachers stumble over Carnow. The children, they're just desperate to fit in, to lose the greenhorn label that marks them as outsiders. And the next clue, it might pop up in a 1915 city directory. We find Abe Carnow, who's now a tailor, at his home address. But then, in the 1916 directory, at the very same address, we find Abe Kane. This is a huge moment, folks. The family has obviously made a choice. Kane is simple, it's familiar, it sounds American, or at the very least, Irish American. A group which was already well established in Chicago. This wasn't a mistake, it was a strategy. It was a conscious act of assimilation to make life easier, get better work, and protect their kids from the prejudice that often came with a foreign name. The final piece of the puzzle often comes from naturalization records. Now, when Abe decides to become a U.S. citizen, he has to declare his name. His petition for naturalization, filed in the 1920s, would state his name as it was upon arrival, Abram Carnovski. But on that same form, there's a section to request a legal name change. And there it is, folks, in writing. I wish my name to be changed to Abraham Kane. The court grants this, and then the transformation is complete. In one generation, Carnovski became Carnow, which then became Kane. This journey from Carnovski to Kane tells us everything. It's not a story about a careless clerk. It's a story of survival, of adaptation, and the powerful human desire to belong. It's a story of social pressure, financial necessity, and forging a new identity in a new world. Every name has a story like this. And understanding this process is the first giant leap to breaking down your own brick walls. Now, the Carnovski family is a perfect window into why so many immigrant surnames changed. It's a powerful drive to assimilate, and these changes weren't random. They were rooted in the social and economic realities of the time. One of the most common changes, it was simple. Anglicization, altering a name to make it sound more English. And sometimes it was a direct translation. For example, the German name Schwarz, meaning black, it often just became black. The French barbier became barber. And it was a simple way to make a name instantly understandable. For someone trying to find a job, having a name a potential boss could easily write down, it really was an advantage to an immigrant. And in other cases, it was just about simplification. A long, multi-syllable name from Poland or Hungary could be a real mouthful in a fast-paced American city. So names with consonant clusters or letters that English speakers just didn't use were often shortened. The Polish name Szczepanski might be trimmed just down to Stevens. This wasn't about shame. It was about pragmatism. Imagine being a kid in school and your name constantly mispronounced or even mocked. The pressure to simplify, it would have been intense. Of course, we can't ignore the darker reason for these changes, and that would be discrimination. Anti-German sentiment flared during World War I, leading many families to downplay their roots. A name like Schneider might be changed to its English equivalent, Taylor, to avoid hostility. In the same way, many Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe adopted less obviously Jewish-sounding names to get around anti-Semitic barriers in housing and employment. A change from Goldstein to Gordon or Stone was a survival strategy. And these changes rarely happened overnight. They were gradual. An immigrant might use his original name within his own community, but use a simplified version at work. This can be a huge headache for genealogists, as one ancestor might appear under 2 or 3 different names across different records. The change often became permanent with the next generation, as children who grew up with the simplified name adopted it as their own. So when you hit that wall where an ancestor seems to vanish, ask yourself, what was going on in their world? What nationalities were facing prejudice? Your ancestors' name change wasn't an accident. It was a calculated choice in their personal quest for the American dream. So we've just seen how powerful social and economic pressures were in shaping names. But this is only half the story. Before we dive into how simple spelling and even illiteracy played an equally huge role, let's take a moment and hit that like and subscribe button. If you're finding these insights helpful for your own family research, subscribing ensures you won't miss future videos designed to help you uncover your family's hidden history. Okay, so let's get back to the detective work. And as we mentioned, we're going to be looking at the sound of the name, the spelling, illiteracy, and the era before standardization. So before we had standardized spelling, driver's licenses, and social security numbers, the idea of a correct spelling for a name, it was incredibly flexible. And this is how names change. And this is how names changed not from choice, but because of illiteracy and a world where the spoken word was king. For most of history, most people couldn't read or write. And an ancestor might not have known how to spell their own name. And the clerk writing it down, they probably didn't either. The clerk would just simply write what they heard, filtering the sounds through their own accent and language. And this created a wild array of phonetic spellings in historical documents. A German surname like Becker, with that ah sound that doesn't exist in English, could be written as Becker or Backer or Baker. And depending on who was listening, this would change, fluctuate. And the French name Tybalt could easily be spelled Thibault by an English speaker who had no idea that the I and the T were silent. These weren't mistakes. They were honest attempts to capture a sound on paper. It means you can't just search for one spelling. You have to think like a musician, listening for the core sound of the name, and imagining all the ways it could have been written down. Also, regional accents played a huge part in this. An Irish clerk in Boston and a German clerk in Milwaukee would hear and write the same Polish name down differently. Plus, the ancestor's own accent added another layer of complexity. And this is why a single family might show up with 3 different spellings in 3 straight census records, even while living in the same house. And the family themselves might not have even noticed or even cared. It was also totally normal for siblings to adopt different spellings of the same last name. One brother might go with Meyer, another might spell Meyer differently, and a third might spell it as Myers. There was no one to tell them which was right. The correct spelling was simply the one they used. When you find these variations, don't dismiss them as errors. You may have just heard an echo of your ancestors speaking their own name, filtered through the ears of history. We've already talked a little bit about the social and emotional signal of a name. A name is so much more than an identifier. It's a social and emotional signal. It broadcasts who we are and where we belong. This is where we get into the deep emotional impact of a name. For many, a name is a proud bridge to their heritage. But for others, that link was forcibly severed. In the United States, one of the most powerful moments of mass renaming happened after the Civil War. Upon emancipation, millions of formerly enslaved people chose a surname for the first time, an act of profound self-definition. Some chose names symbolizing their new status, like Freeman or Liberty. Others adopted the names of figures like Washington or Lincoln, connecting themselves to the founding ideals of a nation that had once denied them their humanity for so long. Many also took common names like Smith or Johnson to establish a new identity that was completely separate from their past, while some did keep the surname of their former enslaver. It was often just for practical reasons, like maintaining ties with a family still on the plantation. And this act of choosing a name was an act of reclaiming an identity that had been stolen. A similar, though different process of forced naming happened in Native American communities. As part of assimilation policies, government agents often assigned English-style surnames that completely ignored existing family or clan structures, and further eroding their cultural identity. On a personal level, the emotional weight of a name is something every family historian feels. Those family stories about a name change, even the inaccurate Ellis Island myth, often preserve an emotional truth. The story of the bumbling clerk might symbolize the family's feeling of powerlessness, or even a sense of a past that was just lost in translation. These stories matter because they tell us how our ancestors made sense of their lives. Discovering the original version of a family name can be an incredibly moving experience. It feels like you're recovering a lost piece of yourself, reconnecting to the ancestor who first carried that name. It brings faces and stories to the names on your family tree, on a chart, transforming them from data points into real people who made hard choices and carried their identity the best they could. Your name is the first story you will ever inherit. So how does all this history actually help you find your family? Well, understanding these patterns is your secret weapon for breaking through those brick walls. Here are a few practical tips. First, think phonetically, not literally. As we've seen, spelling was all over the place. When you're searching a genealogy database, use the wildcard features. An asterisk can replace multiple letters. So M with asterisk ER might pull up Meyer, or the different ways you can spell Meyer or Mayer. Use phonetic search options like Soundex. Brainstorm every possible spelling you can imagine and try them all. Second, research the neighbors. This is a classic trick called cluster genealogy, and it is pure gold. Our ancestors rarely moved alone. They came with family or people from their home village. When you find your ancestor in a census, write down the surnames of the families living nearby. If your ancestor vanishes 10 years later, try searching for those neighbors. If you find them under a new, simplified name, there's a good chance your family is nearby under a similarly changed name. Third, expand your search beyond the obvious records. Passenger lists and census records are your foundation, but the real story of a name change often lives elsewhere. Naturalization papers, they're the jackpot, as they can explicitly state the old and new names. City directories are fantastic for tracking a slow change year by year. Also, check out church records, land deeds, wills, and court records. A person might use their formal original name on a legal document long after they started using a simpler name in daily life. And finally, embrace the ethnic original. Remember, your ancestor John was likely not John back home. He might be on the passenger list as Johann or Johann. If he was German, it may have just been Jan. If he was Polish, or even Giovanni, if he was Italian instead of John. Using the original ethnic first name can often be the key that unlocks the record you've been searching for. So, your name isn't a static label. It's a living artifact of your family's journey. It's a story of migration and assimilation, of social pressures and personal choices, of hardship and hope. It whispers of the farm in Germany or the port city in Italy. It carries the echoes of the choices your ancestors made to survive, to fit in and to build a future for you. The myth of the Ellis Island name change, as compelling as it is, misses the real story here, folks. The truth is so much more empowering. Our ancestors weren't passive victims of a clerical error. They were active agents in their own lives. They made tough, strategic decisions about their identity to navigate a new world. Understanding the story of your name is to understand their resilience and their courage. Your surname is the first clue in the greatest detective story you'll ever tackle. It's the story of you. What story does your surname hold? Have you found any surprising spelling changes in your own family tree? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your discoveries. And if you enjoyed this journey, please consider subscribing for more deep dives into family history. Your own story is waiting to be discovered. So where will your name lead you? Thanks for watching. This is Eric with Trace Your New England Roots, where history starts with your family.